So you trying to date a Gemini? Okay. Good on you. Good on you. Something very important to know if you're going to try to date a Gemini is you are either meeting this Gemini during their unevolved years or you are meeting this Gemini once they have evolved. All right? And there is a very big difference, okay? And so let's talk about this a little bit. An unevolved Gemini is going to be the Gemini that you hear about most often. You know, that Gemini who is easily distracted, or they change their mind often, or they're a little bit aloof, a little bit all over the place, difficulty focusing, somebody who obviously is still very communicative, somebody who is very much still social butterfly, but the unevolved Gemini is someone who has not yet mastered themselves, has not yet mastered all of the versions of themselves, has not yet mastered their communication. They are good communicators, and also they might not be as polished of communicators as an evolved Gemini. Okay, and so those are just some of the characteristics. If you are meeting a Gemini in their unevolved state and they have not done any healing on their mommy daddy wounds or their childhood trauma, then you possibly are meeting a Tasmanian devil. Okay, and you are possibly meeting someone who can stir up real quick, who can shut down real quick with their words, with their behavior. You are possibly meeting somebody who might feel like a savage, you know what I'm saying? A beautiful savage, but a savage, you know what I'm saying? And so keep that in mind as well. And also keep in mind that, like, these are unevolved Gemini characteristics. All right. Now, the evolved Gemini still has some of those characteristics because we don't just throw out our unevolved self when we evolve, we integrate it. All right. And so the evolved Gemini still has the potential to use their words to shut it down or to stir it up. However, the evolved Gemini will be more intentional about choosing when and how they do that. Okay, they have a lot more control over their mouth, their words, how they impact a space. They're very strategic, very intentional, and they can they choose when they fire off, basically, versus an unevolved Gemini who, like, their mouth just going, they can't even stop themselves. They can't even they can't even get a hold of themselves. You know, an evolved Gemini, they can still pop off. However, they are fully in control of that. Like, they chose to go off on you like that. They might have even contemplated it, weighed the options, waited for the opportune moment, and then chose to go off on you like that. You see what I'm saying? Like, it was very intentional. All right. What else about an evolved Gemini? An evolved Gemini is very much aware of their selves. Like, an evolved Gemini is working on mastering themselves and is working on mastering themselves, all the different Gemini personalities that they've awakened thus far, versus an unevolved Gemini who may not even realize that they flip flop in between personalities. They might not even realize that today they was this person, yesterday they was this person, or that at breakfast they were this person, and at dinner they were this person. They might not even be aware of that, and so when you bring it to their attention, they might not be playing when they might not be playing dumb when they're like, "What are you talking about?" Because an unevolved Gemini may not be aware of all of their many selves, you know, versus an evolved Gemini, very much aware that, like, yeah, I can feel another version of me coming awake. I can feel another version of me driving. I'm aware of the versions of me that are speaking in the back of my mind, you know what I'm saying, telling me to say something or telling me to do something, but I am choosing to be this version of me. Like, evolved Gemini is aware of their many selves, and is working to, like, govern and control themselves. You know what I'm saying? What else? What else? An evolved Gemini uses their words in a way that might feel very healing, very liberating. And that doesn't mean it has to all be love and light language. They may say something that's bold and fiery and straight to it. But whatever they said to you, it freed something up in you. You was like, I needed to hear that. I needed to hear that right at this moment. You know what I'm saying? The way you said it, I needed to hear it that way. You know, and so an evolved Gemini will have a lot of moments where they are using their words almost like channeling the energy, the words, the advice, the guidance, from another place to this person that they're talking to, or to whomever their audience is. All right, so that's the evolved Gemini trait as well. There's a lot. There's a lot. I think when it comes to dating and romance, and partnership, an unevolved Gemini may feel more chaotic, may feel more like I said, the Tasmanian devil, like hold on for the ride, like hold on to your horse, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they may feel like they're all over the place. Whether you guys are arguing, whether you guys are not arguing, they just living their lives. Maybe whether you guys are choosing where to eat, they may feel all over the place. An unevolved Gemini versus a evolved Gemini they may still want variety, and they may still want new experiences and things like that. But an evolved Gemini should feel a little bit more grounded. You know what I'm saying? A little bit more centered. In addition to, they need variety. They need to like spice things up here and there. They can't have neither Gemini is into like boring things, like, you know what I'm saying, a routine that is so rigid that it never changes. There's no nuance to the routine. Neither of the Geminis is going to deal with that. So there are some things that are very common to both levels of a Gemini's maturity, and then there are some things that are, you will specifically see this when that Gemini has evolved and come into their own maturity versus when they have not. And so let me think. Is there anything else I should tell you guys? I guess I can say this part. An evolved Gemini is aware of their like purpose, or aware of that, at least aware that they have a purpose. They may not all be aware of what they're here to do, but an evolved Gemini will have this sense of like, I'm here to do something great or something big, or this way that I am, this way that I communicate well, and that is all something that is divine. It's fated. It's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm supposed to be designed like this. Like that, an evolved Gemini is aware of that. Versus an unevolved Gemini, they don't even know if they're coming or going. They're not sure why they're here. You know what I'm saying? Like, they know their mouth do this, but they're not aware that this is supposed to be used for a purpose of some sort. And so, yeah, you want to date a Gemini, you say, right? Just all I'll say is this. Be aware of which version of your Gemini you are interacting with. If you should decide to date a Gemini who you suspect is unevolved, I would say run. That's just my recommendation, because I feel like they won't even know that they have done a thing when they do that thing. Like I said, Tasmanian devil, just going to be spinning, destroying things. The Tasmanian devil's fine once it stops destroying things. Once it stops spinning in that little cyclone situation, the Tasmanian devil's fine. Everything around it has been destroyed. This is the unevolved Gemini. You understand me? Versus a evolved Gemini, which I highly recommend you get you one. Okay, get you one. All right. A evolved Gemini will have the ability to destroy things, but more than likely will not, because the evolved Gemini has matured in their mental space, has matured in how they take action. When they take action, they're very intentional. They're very intuitive. They will care a lot more, or they will show better care to their partners than an unevolved Gemini. So, Godspeed.